Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Rick Beispel and I'm the EVP of Sales and Strategy for Cadent. We're an omni-channel video solutions provider, and I'm very fortunate to be here today with Beth Woodruff, Senior Director of Brand Strategy, Integration, and Innovation at Ally. You have been with Ally about the past 8 years. You were in the automotive business before that. You are an Adweek Rising Star and a graduate of Alabama. Roll Tide. You have had some good sports lately.
Well, we've rode a high. We've been riding a high, but we'll see how our new season goes.
Okay. We are at the GroupM headquarters and the Brand Innovators Upfront Media and Market Summit that's focused on innovation. And you have innovation in your title. So the basic theme of our discussion is really going to be all around innovation. So it's great to be with you, and I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Thanks for having me, Rick.
Absolutely. So let's start big picture. Ally's mission is to do it right. Very simple, very worthy. Share with us the top-line overview of Ally's brand positioning and how you think about your brand today and in an evolutionary manner as well.
Yeah. So, our core belief system is that everybody deserves an ally.
Yep.
And that we're a relentless ally for your financial well-being. We're the nation's largest digital-only financial services company. And so part of that, especially being a digital-only company where you don't necessarily have brick and mortar with people in front of you, really means you have to show up in a real human way all the time. So much of what we've built around our brand has been like bringing humanity into the financial services category, and a lot of that means doing right by our customers, by our employees, by the communities where we live and serve, and obviously in a lot of our branding works, that's really where it comes to life. I think what we're really focused on is knowing that that mantra of do it right and having customers see that and feel that will really demonstrate what being a customer of Ally feels like, that you're going to get good service and it's going to be done right and we're going to do right by you.
It's easy to be innovative or say you're innovative, but how do you maintain a culture of innovation? And how do you really be a proponent of innovation to your teams and to all your stakeholders?
Yeah. It's built into the cornerstone of our organization. We were born, Ally Bank was born the same year as the iPhone. Which, as a digital bank, that was kind of crazy to do that. So we've had this really disruptive nature from the beginning, really taking bets on innovation and understanding that we should be looking at the future. We should be building for customers for the future and the way they will need to bank with us in the future. So for me, innovation is constantly seeing around corners. What's next? Where should we be bringing new insights to the table to really meet consumers where they are? The media landscape is changing so rapidly. I think the consumer base is more fragmented than ever. So when we think about innovation, certainly technology is part of that, and we are a digitally native company. But innovation also means, like, where should we be going? Where should we be thinking about as next? How do we future-proof our business by disrupting sort of the status quo in everything?
Do you think so? Is disruption one of your cornerstone DNA values as a company?
I think it is. I think one of the things that we really love is that when we came in and disrupted the financial services industry 15 years ago by making a digital-only bank and being really customer-centric. So out of the gate, we really built our brand around being disruptive. But I think we also have really learned that if you disrupt in a really positive way, consumers see and feel that. It resonates with them. We're solving pain points that they really have, that we're listening to them and addressing those things. And I think it carries over into our marketing, the way we disrupt in our advertising campaign, things like the Super Bowl, things like women's sports. Like, it just means looking at the problem differently and figuring out how to really put a stake in the ground from your organization that creates buzz and momentum and is really felt. And not always going the traditional route. I think there's a lot of momentum that can be built around doing something differently or seeing something differently.
Well, there's certainly how you approach marketing can be very different, and we're going to touch on Super Bowl, we're going to touch on women's sports. First, I wanted to touch on the possible event and conference you were at.
Yeah.
It looked like it was very well received, and I think you felt very positive about it, correct?
Yeah. Anytime that we can meet with industry leaders, I'm always so inspired. I had such a great time this year in Miami, and the event's getting larger and larger. This is the second year. I had the really great fortune of watching a session with AT&T and Translation, which is also one of our agencies, and they were really talking about innovation differently.
Correct.
I was so inspired. by the way they really mentioned innovation.
It's a powerful creative piece that they introduced around 5G. But what really struck me was your post that you recently had on LinkedIn that really spoke to marketing and innovation. And you said three things. One, do work that matters. Two, take 10% of your budget and dedicate it to something that won't impact this fiscal year. But you noted be brave. And three, protect your ideas and share it carefully. So can you touch on kind of those 3 points that you make?
So on that first point, do work that matters. That's so intrinsically built into our own brand at Ally, that do it right mentality, that it resonates with me tremendously, obviously, because it's the way we live our brand out. Like, do things that really impact the world. I think there's so much momentum around conversion. I have a really personal belief that if you do really good core branding and you do right by your consumers, that resonates and results in conversion. So it has to be hand in hand. The budget piece, 10% is the number that they threw out. I, am fortunate to work in an organization that does dedicate resources to testing and learning. It's a smaller amount, but it's still really impactful. If you really want to see change, you have to have some sort of learning objective within your organization that's constantly keeping you ahead of what's next. I think being prepared for those sort of future waves of consumer engagement is critical, and you have to test into it. So the idea of being brave is like sometimes...
That's what I wanted to learn more about.
The idea of being brave is sometimes it's easy to say we need to dedicate 100% of our budget to conversion marketing right now. We need to think about right now. The healthiest organizations are thinking about what's the health of my business look like 5-10 years from now. And I think that being brave sort of says like, hold some back and think about the future. That's going to be really critical. You can't live in today always as a brand builder. So the idea of being brave is sort of saying like we have to be dedicated to learning more and evolving and not just staying sort of in the status quo, living in quarter to quarter every single year. And that last piece, keeping things, as somebody who works in innovation, oftentimes we come up with big ideas, and big ideas can scare people a lot. And I think sometimes keeping it within a close network of people within your organization who really share the same value set and want to see that sort of momentum build and that groundswell, having a core group within your organization that's really there to help pressure test, vet things with you, are going to be honest with you and really look at things from all angles. Keeping that protective in that bubble can often help you get all of your ducks in a row before you take it to the C-suite or take it to your executives to sort of review, pitch the idea. I think you do have to be a little precious with it.
So the precious point is more about make sure that you bake it properly than you're worried about other people co-opting it. I
think that's right. I'm mostly thinking about internally. Like, it's easy to sort of do death by committee sometimes.
Yep.
And you have to be super protective and precious of what you know is the right solution based on the data that you've gathered, based on the consumer insights that you have. And then take a fully baked plan out after you've pressure tested it with your core group of people who really believe in the innovation work that you have. I really think that's a recipe for setting yourself up for success internally as you pitch these ideas. Get your storytelling down. Really understand who your audience is and what you're trying to say. Get that narrative really down pat. And when you make that sales pitch, it's buttoned up and people are really buying into you.
Now let's talk about an area where Ally is truly a leader and has been a pioneer and really a first mover, and that is women's sports. Now, without a doubt, women's sports are having their moment right now. But I don't think it's a moment. I think it's a movement.
Yeah.
And I think, in my view, there's been some seminal moments in women's sports. There's Billie Jean King, there's Title IX, there's Caitlin Clark. But I think your CMO, Andrea Brimmer, is really in the Hall of Fame when it comes to being a pioneer. And an example is the 50-50 pledge to pledge 50% of investment to men and women's sports, or women in sports. Why is women's sports so important to you? And why is gender parity so important?
I do think Andrea is a pioneer and was very brave when she set down that path before. It was really born out of this insight that 94% of women who sit in the C-suite were in some level of sports, either in high school or collegiate. And that really showed to us this pathway to success for women really can start at the ground level with sports.
So that's a big stat.
That's a huge stat. And we really sort of looked at that stat and said, we can make an impact here. Financial mobility for all genders, race is critical for us. We want to see everybody succeed financially. But when you see a disparity like that, when you say, listen, the C-suite is not representative of the world, and we know that when women are in sports, that is a path to the C-suite, that becomes really momentum for us. And obviously, it's good business sense for us. We had to really, I would say, chart a new path because the inventory wasn't there. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a lot for us to be able to do. But I think we've worked so hard to say, how can we shine a light on women in sports, but also create activations, opportunities to put money in their pocket, really put the work in to say, if we really believe that this is the future, if we really believe that this is what is a pathway to success for women, then we need to really show up and say, we want to support you. We want to see this equality breathe through the media landscape. And I think it's been really so wonderful to see the way consumers really think about this. The female audience is the number one spender in the U.S. I mean, they are making the bulk of the financial decisions. We want to be there and show them that we see women, we see the value they bring, we see what they do, and we want to be their ally and their financial partner, ultimately. So I think it's been incredibly rewarding to see my teammates, Andrea, all bring that to life in such a beautiful way.
And she played at Michigan State, I believe.
She did.
Correct?
She is also a collegiate athlete.
Right.
My counterpart, Stephanie Marciano, she played collegiate basketball. And I think you see that passion woven into the work that they do. It's just breathtaking. It's really, really, really wonderful to see.
And it's also very innovative that your agency, GroupM, has now established a women's sports fund, and that they're getting behind it with you and their partners as well.
It is a lot of what we were trying to do at the onset of the 50-50 pledge was put pressure on other brands. Mm-hmm. We can't do this by ourselves.
Right.
If we really want to see the media landscape change, we have to demand that the inventory is there. So some of it was our own undertaking, but a lot of it was putting a lot of pressure and really being pointed to other brands to say, join us, put the investment here. It's going to be worth it, and they deserve the investment. And I think you have seen this groundswell, and you've seen it really, emerge with the Caitlin Clarks of the world, the NWSL. Everybody sort of understanding the value of women's sports and how it can be a massive consumer driver. And
some of your investments have included women's soccer, the NWSL,
that's right,
WNBA, the Las Vegas Aces,
yep,
golf now,
yep,
and Wrexham, the Wrexham Tour in the U.S. Yep. So give us a couple of highlights of those. You don't have to touch on all of them. Like, what is the thought process? What is the outcome, the desired outcome that you want?
What we say internally a lot is that we want to enter properties that we know we can make better, mm-hmm, by being there. It's one of those things where we really want to be and bring an impact that they have an ally when we enter those spaces. The NWSL was a place that really needed somebody to come in, right, and sort of be a brand that saw them and that advocated for them. And we were so proud to do that. Even in our partnerships, like with some of the players that we have on the Aces and our team Ally, which covers, yep, all sports, so much of what we're trying to do is really shine a light on these athletes and give them opportunities for money-making ventures outside of sports, right? Like, how do we help showcase their other talents, what they want to do when they get off the field or off the court? So much of what we're doing is really investing at the human level with these players. So it's really so much more about how do you make impact in the individual spaces, but it's always the laser focus of how do you show up as an ally, and how do we make this property better by showing up? So every place we've entered, we've sort of said the women need more spotlights in golf. The women need more spotlight as an NWSL. We want to show up really meaningfully in those places. The Ally Tip-Off, which we brought to Charlotte, yep, huge numbers. It's just really incredible to see the turnout. I'm expecting
some tickets next year coming my way.
We'll get you some.
Okay.
We'll get you some.
Right. But along those similar themes, female empowerment, allies supporting athletes, but also aspiring businesswomen.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your partnership with Hello Sunshine and the Side Hustle program that, yeah, appeared on Roku last, yeah, year, was just renewed for season 2. Yeah. Different take, same theme.
Yeah. So, it's incredible to see less than 2% of women get funding from venture capitals, which, right, is just crazy. We know that these women have incredible ideas. We really wanted to show up in a meaningful way. We also wanted to be really disruptive in the media landscape here. So instead of doing a traditional ad buy where we just surround the content, we really wanted to get woven into the content. So we partnered with Hello Sunshine to, from the ground up, as executive producers, create content around women, talking to women, supporting women, really showing up as investors in their life and in their business the way women would do it. it's not Shark Tank where you're under a bright light and you're presenting. You're sitting on a couch, pitching an idea to Emma Greed and Ashley Graham, really trying to sort of showcase what it looks like when women support women. Incredibly powerful, and like as a disruptive marketing endeavor, I mean, that was the #1 show on Roku. We had, millions of viewers. It's just incredible to sort of see the passion and the fandom that's come with this, that people are so hungry for this type of content. And we're really proud because it was a gamble on our part to sort of produce a show like this. And I think what we found is that consumers want meaningful. They want meaningful work. They don't want to look at ads all the time. They want you to really be woven into the narrative, things that they're passionate about. Being able to do that, being able to really show up in the storytelling way and add value and really weave our brand into the narrative in a really organic way has proven so fruitful. And we're just really proud. And that's the kind of innovation and disruption that Ally keeps trying to bring to the table. It's not necessarily always about technology. It's about reimagining the way you can get your brand in front of consumers.
So we would be remiss if we didn't touch on the upfront, because we are at GroupM here and it's pre-upfront season. But how are you reimagining the upfront? And what might be some of those key objectives or pillars that you're looking for partners to collaborate with you more productively?
Yeah, I think we're trying to look for a lot of flexibility. I think we want to certainly partake in the upfront, but we really want to reimagine the world to give ourselves a lot of nimbleness. So that we can really be part of cultural moments or really show up in ways that are impactful or continue to beat the drum on our 50-50 pledge. So much of what we're trying to do in working with GroupM is sort of say, like, how can we, lock in the upfronts, but also give ourselves a little flexibility to be able to be really relevant and constantly sort of in front of the consumer in new and different ways. We're constantly looking for new and disruptive, bespoke integrations in different ways. And I think we have a really great partner who's helping us think through that and really reimagine the world. And so it's been really fruitful for us to sort of push the envelope and say, we don't want to just lock in everything for the year. We want to have that nimbleness to really be relevant.
So flexibility, nimbleness, first looks.
Yeah.
Noted from the Cadent perspective when we come talk to you.
Good.
All righty. So last question. We're getting the sign to wrap things up.
Yes.
You were a rising star. For the young marketers in the room, what advice would you give them to get their careers off to a fast track, and what path should they be taking?
Ask as many questions as possible. I don't ever mind looking like I'm the least intelligent person in the room, but I want to leave a room knowing that I know as much as I can. Ask a million questions. You be a student of your organization, the marketing landscape. Constantly be curious. And I think when you do that, you will stay relevant in this field, and you will constantly be sought after because you are constantly acquiring new and different skill sets. So be curious, learn how to be a good storyteller. Those are things that have definitely impacted my career in positive ways.
Well, Beth, this has been great. I learned a lot more about Ally today. Really appreciate your time, and I hope all our viewers really enjoyed it as well.
Rick, it was such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
So great to see you.
Good to see you too.
Take care.
Thanks.